Happy Monday and welcome to Beachside Tech Talk, episode number 91. Today's topic is how are our relationships, human relationships, whether it's family, friends, associates, how are they impacting Web3 and AI tech? Often we talk about how automation technology impacts us. Today we'll talk a bit about how we're impacting it. To get started, I'm going to play a video. This is something that Riza shared last year about her relationship with our children and the way that her relationship with our children has impacted the way that they use automation tech and vice versa. It's only 7 minutes long. I thought it'd be a nice way to start, and then we'll come in with the team and dive into the topic.
Thank you very much for that. Good afternoon, everyone. It is an incredible time, actually, to be a digital artist. We stand at an intersection of technology and creativity, where the new worlds are opening up every day. So I would like to introduce you again myself. My name is Riza Yatili. I am the executive at Essential Live. I am also the producer of the Web3 AI, which is actually our event on September 14. By navigating the new worlds of digital art or these new norms can feel overwhelming. It's like we are being caught in a vortex. Vortex is created by Web3 and AI and how it is transforming the landscapes for digital artists. So this is an art that I created using the Procreate. And this is a vortex. So a vortex is something, it's a dynamic swirling force. Something that pulls in everything in its center. As you can see, this is like a bird's eye view of an ipo-ipo, or in English, a whirlwind or a tornado, right? So this is actually what exactly happening today in Web3 and AI for digital artists and in our digital art. So I call the Web3 and AI as a dynamic duo. Let me just give you a little bit of what Web3 revolution can enables, everyone, each one of us to own. It also enables a new models of ownership like NFT, where artists and creators can have control over their art. Who knows Beeple? So if you guys are NFT collectors, NFT creators, so Beeple, also known as Mike Winkleman, Beeple is the most richest NFT creator. He sold millions of dollars by creating NFT art. And every day he is creating NFT, putting it into marketplaces like OpenSea, Rarible, and here in the Philippines, Jello has the Likha. You guys can also be like him by creating NFT. So I also create, as I mentioned earlier, I also create NFT. I create NFT art, so I also try to sell it. So that's actually how the NFT can help us and how powerful NFTs are. So let's talk about the AI as a creative ally. Who doesn't know about AI? ChatGPT, of course. Every one of us know what ChatGPT is, right? So ChatGPT became the most helpful tool for all of us. I admit, the AI, when I was working as an online business English teacher, most of my students actually are hiring me to create articles. But because of AI, they don't need me anymore. All right? But it's also very helpful for digital artists. Why? Because there are many AI tools that are very creative. It helps to enhance our digital art. So if you go to OpenAI and ChatGPT, there is an image generating tool. So all you have to do is to go there and type in your prompt, create an image about this, about that, and boom, they will create an image for you. So here is an example of an art of my 7-year-old son. So here in the left side is what my son created, and he called this as a corrupted oval. He used the Procreate, and what I did is that my husband told me, why not bring this in Midjourney? So who knows Midjourney? So what we did is that we put this drawing, his drawing, in OpenAI ChatGPT, and I type in create a prompt for Midjourney. And then I brought this together with the prompt in Midjourney, and this is what Midjourney created. And my son created lots of different shapes that he called corrupted. He has corrupted triangle, he has corrupted diamond, and all are super cute. This one is another creation of our 11-year-old son. So on the left side is created through Procreate, and same thing. We brought it, integrated it to Midjourney. Look how amazing Midjourney created that. And he also made lots of that. So we're planning, actually, my husband and I were planning, like, create more this kind of art for them, but by their early age, 7-year-old and 11-year-old, they will start earning money from creating drawings and selling it, creating into an NFT art and selling it in marketplaces. How amazing it is, right? So what happens when Web3 and AI collide? So that's where the vortex forms. So this one is an art again that I created. I created a vortex, and then I put it in ChatGPT, asked for a prompt for Midjourney, and then Midjourney created that for me. And then I searched again in Midjourney for the hand, and I put them together using the Adobe Photoshop. So I still love Adobe Photoshop. In fact, if you're still using Adobe Photoshop until now, this is really very sufficing. They also have an AI. So Adobe Photoshop already have AI. So all you have to do is go there in Adobe Photoshop, type in whatever you want to create, and Adobe Photoshop will do it for you. So all I did is that these two hands, it has actually a background, and all you have to do is remove background. Adobe Photoshop will remove it for you. By the end of my talk, I hope that you not only learn what vortex is. I hope that in this talk, you also learn how to embrace vortex in Web3 and AI by understanding and harnessing the power of Web3 and AI. You, all of you here, can also be part of a unique transformation. Thank you very much, and mabuhay.
Well, I love what you shared there. Let's go ahead and bring Nigel and Dan up on stage to join us. Nigel, how's the East Coast, my friend? Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday. It's good. It's good. Weather's cool. Walked around a little bit, nothing, but it was good. It was good. Good weather. You know, it's not too hot. You know, getting back to the better, more comfortable temperatures over here.
Right on. Dan, happy Monday, my brother. You're on mute. Oh, there you are. Good to see you.
Yeah. Happy Monday, everybody.
So Malachi will be here in a moment. For some reason, the boys all got out of school at noon this week, so he went to go grab Kenny and Nathan. So we're still rotating through the same 7 basic topics. I'll make minor adjustments to the topics each time. Today's topic is relationships. So that would be family, friends, associates, etc. Instead of talking about how Web3 and AI and automation are making an impact on our relationships, the focus I've had as I've been thinking about this topic has been, how are our relationships how are human connections, human bonds impacting these tools, or at least impacting the way that we're using them? One thing that's very clear and was clear since the Alexa speaker came out in 2014 and Siri really hit the market hard in 2015-16 is that every time people use these tools, they are getting better. That people talk about their experience with these tools. So they're talking to their family, their friends, their associates. Here's how I'm using this. Here's how I'm doing this. And so certainly we are having impact on the tech, and our collaborations are also having an impact on the tech as well. Malachi just came in, so we're going to scoot over and make some room for the young man. Welcome, son. Thanks for grabbing the voice. We're just diving into the topic of how are human relationships impacting automation technology, kind of the flip of the conversation.
Well, if I could put some input.
Go ahead.
I think that the way that society interacts is, of course, based solely on the way that our human relationships currently are. I mean, if you look throughout history, you see these different periods that we name, or these different ways of thinking that are more dominant in a certain time. And I think usually it's a lot more difficult to know what period you're in the present moment. Like, I guess it's easy to say now that we're in a period of rapid growth and things are changing, especially with things like AI. But really, we don't know. But when you have retrospect and you see in the back of what happened, it's a lot easier to tell. And I think right now, whatever that, I guess, period or ideology that we have as a consensus, as a society in general, that's going to be the thing that really affects the AI. And so if anything, it's kind of like a way of summing up the way the AI has affected human relationships.
Right on. I like that perspective. What do you guys think? What's your thoughts on this topic of human relationships impacting this automation tech, whether it's our experience or the way that the companies are guiding things? What are your thoughts on this topic?
I think we're constantly training the AI with our own information, because that's all it is. It's our information that we're putting in. So the way we're impacting it is every single time we use it, whether it's speaking and the inflection in our voice and what other information they can extract. It's a data mining exercise, if I had to, and nothing's changed really. It's just more insidious. It's going to learn more because we're putting more information into it, and people invested, significant amounts of money and energy and time into extracting that information. And that's where I feel like the interaction is truly going to come in. It's in the sentiment of the commentary that, we've seen. And this is nothing new that people have been doing in marketing and advertising. Where I do think there could be a shift, at least I've seen it for me, is that the moment I realized that what had been, for lack of a better term, weaponized against the consumer in terms of data, information, and how it's connected, a lot of that same capability is available for the average person. And by that, I don't necessarily mean bad, but it could be. It's just a matter of being utilized. So if you understand how to connect the dots and to use the technology, even with the little, we're not at the, we don't have quantum computers in our house, but we still have access to vast amounts of data publicly, as well as the capability to process that data and our own critical thinking, if we choose to use it, to draw conclusions, to be able to make more informed decisions. And while some of us will choose to do that, others, for whatever reason, may not. So some will, some won't. I just know for a fact that the opportunity is there. And like anything else, for the longest time, we still do, we have libraries. But, if you don't go to the library, you don't pick up a book, it's only going to be what's so valuable to you. And for whatever reason you choose to do, don't do, whatever the case may be, the fact still remains. The opportunity is there. And there is it's either you prioritize beneficial enough to incentivize action.
Right.
So this is where I feel like the most of the interaction of the human interaction is actually affecting it in the training, in the prompting, in the information it's extracting when we speak and interact with it.
Right. I've been thinking about our interaction with AI and Web3, like, informal voting. So federally, I don't know, maybe 200 million adults live in America. I'm not sure what the ranges of adults that can vote compared to kids, but let's just call it 200 million. So when you think about like let's say that only less than half vote. So let's say 100 million people vote. It's more than that because it was like, I think 170 or so million the last federal cycle. So there you go, 170 million adults voted. So if my numbers are correct. So it's such a small impact making a vote that a lot of people don't vote. And sometimes it can feel like it's such a small impact to choose to buy $5 of this cryptocurrency that is tied to this layer 1 blockchain compared to all these others, or who cares? Nobody even notices. Or okay, so you have a Grok membership and you pay for a premium Grok membership because you want to support XAI, or you have a ChatGPT membership and because you love the outputs. And it's like, every time we spend money, every time we engage with this technology, it's almost like we're making a vote. And then the way that we impact one another, there's a lot less commitment to an AI tool or a Web3 tool than there is something like Mac. Like I've had way longer, funny, lighthearted disagreements with people, PC versus Mac, Android versus Apple. Like there's no vested interest in it.
Yeah.
Neither one of us owns stock in Apple or Microsoft or Samsung or Google necessarily. It has nothing to do with that. It simply is like, I use a iPhone and a Mac computer and an iPad, and you're missing out by not doing it. You're using bad technology. And the vice versa thing goes. And so it is interesting, like how much our relationships have to do with how we decide to engage with things. And I wonder if our relationships, and especially work relationships, right? People at work that you work with that come up and say, hey, you should be using this tool. You should be using this Web3 approach or whatnot. I don't know. But I do find it to be intriguing. I wonder how much of an impact humans are having on a moment by moment basis upon these different tools. I do know there's blockchains that raised $500 million and have failed. There's a bunch of blockchains that raised tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, and are still ghost chains. And so it's all kind of based on relationships. You have to have enough people that have consensus and say, I value what this can become one day. And it just turned out that Ethereum was able to make it through multiple storms, as has Solana, but most have not. So it is intriguing to me, this whole idea. What do you think, honey, about the idea of our relationships, whether people we work with, like our Filipino team, the conversations we're having, or us, family, making an impact on either this tech in general, or at least the way that we use it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree, because our relationship don't just impact the Web3 and AI, but of course they how should I say that, they define our humanity. And so every day, since technology has been part of our life, it actually impacts not only the family relationship, even our faith relationship with people in our church community where we're part of.
Yeah, I agree with you. What do you think, Dan? What do you think about this topic? I don't know if we've ever talked about this as a team in the first 90 episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to, short of me giving you the old vanilla ice cream, I'm trying to understand, how we do interact with it. I don't have a definitive take on it just yet. I think that we're working on it. So, relationships with AI and Web3. I think that the relationship is, kind of like Nigel said, and I don't want to piggyback off that too much, but we're using it. we're using it, and that's our relationship with it, and our future is yet to be seen. But I wish I had more to give you.
Well, I mean, okay, so let's talk a bit about it. So, I mean, the intriguing thing to me is this: how does your Nigel's conversations change the way that you're using this tech?
Wait,
Because that's
what?
major. So the big idea is, how is our relationships we have with one another? The five of us, you and Nigel, me and Riza, you and Malachi, Nigel and Riza. How are our relationships, our conversations, whether with work, family, friends, how are our relationships impacting the overall ecosystem of these technologies, or at least our experience of them? And this is the thing that I think is intriguing, because I wonder if there are things that we're doing that are beneficial we should do more of. What if there's things that we're doing that are detrimental we should be thoughtful of? And vice versa. Are there things that we're not doing that would be really helpful, or good thing we're not doing them? I just don't think we're thinking a lot about the fact that every single time we use this technology, it is making very slight modifications for us, and everyone's input with this technologies are also collectively making more significant modifications. So I'm just thinking through, like, what does it look like for humans, people, to have at least a self-awareness of, like, hey, how are my work relationships, family relationships impacting the way I use this, or maybe impacting the way it's used by everyone? What are your thoughts, young mind?
I'm thinking a lot about how what you said earlier about voting.
Yeah.
We've talked actually a lot about voting on this show. And I think that thought of, yeah, well, I don't want to vote because it takes so much time and it's just 1 out of 100 million. It's so easy to feel like the independence means that it doesn't have meaning. But I think this confliction between independence and maybe the idea of wanting to be able to save your time, like what Riza was saying the other day. She was in the Philippines, but she didn't really want to be voting because of how much time it takes, and that effort isn't as useful. And I think the way that some people are more independent and wanting to just kind of go with it and not really pay attention to the thing that might not be that affected by their singular vote, it's those people how that single mindset can accidentally start a snowball rolling where more and more people think that way. And I think this confliction between independence and knowing that you're a part of the community is a difficult thing in general and can tie into AI in any way, really.
For me, I would like to add,
Yeah.
Before the Web3 and AI, I just want to generalize technology. All right. Technology creates connection globally. So when I started teaching online, that's how I started, connecting with people around the world. So starting from Asian countries to European countries to South American countries. So it's global connection. So that's how I can see before Web3 and AI. But now, when we talk about with Web3 and AI, it's now like less more human. What I'm trying to say is that there are now tools that people can create relationship with AIs, like the Susuverse app that I shared with you guys here before, where you can chat or talk to AI or what we call human bots. And it's really real, like look like a real person, for you to express your feelings that you can't express to a real human.
Yeah.
So for you to that you can trust, that you cannot do that trust, a level of trust to human, because you're afraid that this person might spread the how to call it, the gossip, something
And
like
that idea, that whole company's really reason for existing is that they see that people want relationships. How do our relationships affect AI? If there's a lack of it, then now we're looking to something that can create that and be that. And in a way, people who maybe don't trust just any other person, or they don't want to go out and find relationships. They're going on to this platform that someone made for the sake of filling that void and making a relationship.
So the one that I shared is actually the benefit, how beneficial, but the detrimental, because you mentioned if it's detrimental, beneficial. The detrimental is the scams, because of Web3 and
Mhm.
AI. So people are, like, for example, meme coin, people can easily rug pull and inviting people to invest in that meme coin, and then suddenly
Yeah.
they will pump and then dump. So the relationship that you had with these people are mostly actually um uh, you know the trust issues because of the scam that is happening. So that's one detrimental. Another trust issue is that another detrimental part is that the AI is replacing the emotional labor, just like what I mentioned earlier. So instead of having an emotional connection with real humans, more and more people now are giving trust to AI than humans. So that's the detrimental part.
So I read this morning that 80% of Web3 engagement is from word of mouth and 20% is from marketing. When you consider the amount of money that these Web3 companies spend on
That's a
marketing,
lot.
they obviously are failing, right? Like, this is public. Hedera raised over $100 million. Hedera launched a token. The token did quite well off and on. Sometimes the market caps as much as 10 billion, sometimes as least as little as 1 billion because of the way the cryptocurrency moves around. But they have like a $10+ million marketing budget. So, like, that's a lot of money to be spent. Yet, if 80% of people engage with metaverse, NFTs, cryptocurrency, distributed ledgers, if 80% are from word of mouth, it really makes you wonder, like, how important is marketing? Another statistic I read in preparation of our conversation is that 31% of young people are engaged in some form of I don't even know how to frame it. I guess they call it romantic, some form of romantic engagement or intimate engagement with these AI tools. Do you know anybody? Have you ever had a friend tell
No,
you
I've
that
never had anyone tell
I'm not
me.
looking for a girlfriend? I have what's the little cute girl on Grok called?
Oh,
Annie or something?
Annie? I
Yeah.
don't know. Something
I got
like that.
Annie. I don't need a girlfriend.
It's already happening in Japan.
Well, for a long time.
Yeah, even before.
But why
There
is
are
it?
many people in Japan having AI boyfriends and girlfriend. One of my students had a boyfriend AI, and I couldn't believe that. That AI will text her like in the middle of her work. She will receive a text from her AI boyfriend. How are you? I'm thinking about you, and and
So
good
weird.
night, like good
Whoa.
morning. So
So
it
strange.
happened years ago that we don't know, because like in Japan they're very advanced.
I mean, we see the movie Her with Joaquin and Scarlett Johansson's voice. That didn't seem to scare anybody. We see what's happened in Japan. Their birth rates have now plummeted because people are turning to uh, innovation, automation, technology for emotional and physical relational stuff. That didn't seem to impact us. And I don't hear anybody talking about it. So if we have any sort of concern about this, it doesn't seem to be talked about very often. And when it is, it feels like it's talked about in kind of extreme terms. And what do you think, Nigel? What do you think about, like, I brought up two things. One was marketing doesn't work for Web3, only word of mouth, which shows the importance of our relationships. And the other is that a lot of people, especially young people, supposedly 31% of young people have some sort of what they would consider to be like a girlfriend, boyfriend type of vibe with their AI tool, which is strange. I'm not sure how you get there, but I mean, obviously it can't be that hard if that many people.
I think a lot of this stuff we've been heading in that direction even before AI. And I don't know that it's specifically about AI or the technology. I think it's just the way we behave as humans, which makes complete sense since it's all trained on human data. So to talk about the marketing piece of it, and the word of mouth, I think people have gotten so comfortable with, hey, this makes money, so let me go tell some people about it so I can make money, that they've deprioritized, if that's even a word. Like they've lessened the priority on their reputation to provide information that's valuable. So it's, if I can get you one and done, especially if I don't know you, it's kind of anonymous, perfect. As long as I'm making money, that's great, because money is the priority. But when you think about the stuff that really has influence, at least long-term sustainable, which to me is what matters. If someone gives you just bad advice, you're probably not going to take that advice again the next time. Like it's not going to be any, there's no repeat customer. So there's part of that. And then you got the piece that's in that same vein with no value. You go into a store, if the humans are behaving like robots, give me the robots. Like if you're not adding any,
That's a good point.
If your human contribution is not even noticeable, give me the robot. For me,
Right.
I would like it better, because I could, now I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about, offending anyone by saying the truth. Because some people, you say something that's accurate, they madder than anything else. People bandwagon. Why'd you say that? Well, that's what happened. Well, you didn't have to say it that way. What difference does it make? It's true. And it affected me in a negative way. And you're taking money for this horrible interaction. Then you got the folks standing on high, sending the people up front to do their dirty work. And we're not using our own critical thinking to say, show me the person who made the decision. Because once we start doing that, it changes the game. You skip right past the people in the front. You can't help me. You can't help me. Who made the decision? You? Great. Now I got a target, the right target. Not just I'm going to be mad at somebody that's there. But the relationship piece, think about where relationships have come to. Back in the day, and people can say, oh, he's old and, like grandpa, whatever, old head. Great. But dating, like, are we even dating anymore? Courting. We were courting at one point because you wanted to have a relationship. Now it's like, let's just do whatever. And then we'll see if we can be exclusive. We'll see if I can put myself out there on, say I'm in a relationship on Instagram or whatever, like that becomes the measure. But why wouldn't you gravitate towards something that's going to be more compliant? People do it all the time. You see someone, like when I went to Cuba, there was a guy who was on the beach when I was there. Dude had to be late 60s. And he was with a young lady and they were romantically involved. She was probably in her 20s. So, and sure, who am I to say? They could have been madly in love and figured it out or whatever the case may be. But I imagine that some of that had to do with status. So if that's going to be the case and we're already doing those kind of things, you think about the movie Coming to America, when Arsenio Hall was like, this is the best Queens has to offer. Pick one, let's go. What are you even worried about what your wife thinks? Just get one. If we're doing that, then sure, why wouldn't you want, AI? Like even just beyond even romantic relationships. When I talk to Bing and I'm just brainstorming things, I'm like, hey, I need you to do this, that, and the other thing. There's never a time that, it comes back with some snarky response. Not typically anyway. It's usually said, yep, I got it. Sorry about that. I'm going to do better. Everything is compliance. Everything. So why wouldn't it? We're not, humans are like, I can't say this enough. You ask about how our relationship affects AI. We're the demonstration of diversity at work, the active practice of diversity right here. 5 people who've chosen to come together to talk. Something
Right.
it's not as ubiquitous as one might think. That's the real example. But beyond that, we're just I want compliance. I want something that's going to be easy. I don't want anybody to disagree with me. Okay, you got it.
I think if
This is
anything,
our
it
doing.
just it shows a lot about the culture. It shows that, like with the example you just said, Nigel, of you see two people who are very different in age and they're on the beach and they have a relationship. It just shows that it's not necessarily that the technology itself is creating this environment. It's just that it's the tool that's revealing what is happening.
Or just facilitating it. Think about what most dating apps are. The primary function of dating apps now is location. Find singles in your area. If you notice, the priority is in your area. It's not like near me. It's not find me a good compatible mate. Nope. Proximity.
Right. Yeah, that is interesting. There's a bunch of things that we have digital proximity, right, that others don't. I think that's also an intriguing thing. Like there's a bunch of technologies that we have access to that people in Russia, China, North Korea, and other places do not. They don't have access. So like they don't even have any sort of ability to choose or not choose. There's got to be countries that have banned like having any sort of relationship with tech. I'm assuming. I don't know for sure, but if not, I imagine it's going to happen soon enough. What do you guys think about like regulating? Do you think that humans should regulate social media or amount of time on phones or amount of time? Like, should we be regulating how people choose to use technology? Would you want to be regulated? I don't think I'd want to be regulated.
We regulate.
I mean, we regulate ourselves. Riza can regulate me. But I don't think I'd want the government to regulate me. I don't think I would, but would we want to do that for the sake of trying to protect people?
What are you protecting from?
Yeah.
Well, the potential devastation of people having relationships with technology seems concerning.
What's
The
devastating about it? You have
potential
to define it.
financial devastation of people getting roped into Web3 things where they, potentially could lose everything. I mean, there's plenty of reasons. Yeah.
I always want to choose positive.
I think. What were you gonna say, Nigel?
Part of me likes the idea of government regulating certain pieces of it. I think it would be helpful. I think if the government made these big companies be more transparent about certain things, this would go a lot better. Like, there's an accountability factor. Not good for their business model, but I don't, as a consumer, and this is going to sound however, I don't care about that. I'm care about me. You making money, like you do your business, whatever the case may be. I'm talking about what's for me. Like, what am I getting? What's the whiff? What's in it for me? So what I mean is, again, if you're making decisions on things, then who's making the decision? Are people really being informed about what's going on? Don't give me a bunch of metrics that I can't use.
Right.
Give me the actionable intelligence that can work on it. Oh, look, you spent all this time. Yeah, that's great. But like, how much of that time that I spent was because you did things to facilitate that? Where's your accountability? Because that changes the metrics completely. If you see I spent 10 hours on the phone and 9.5 of those hours was because of the way this marketing was, not because you were really interested. There were 50 ads that popped up in front of you when you weren't even going there.
Yeah.
Show me that. And put it on the blockchain. It doesn't necessarily need to be popping up on every ad, but it should be there for people to go to. There should be something there that says I could go look. Because when we start hearing things in a way that's understandable, it's not the same as just saying, well, I told you.
Yeah.
I said it at a whisper when I got a hearing aid. Does that really count? Like, come on, like, let's not do that. Like, that just seems irresponsible. You know, so to me, I think that when you have that kind of thing, if you tell someone, you know, the example we gave the other day, if you just skip the hour of Netflix every night in 6 months, you would be able to read the whole Bible. Very different than just I watch an hour a night, because an hour a night doesn't sound horrible, does it?
Right.
But if you put it next to something else, it may not necessarily sound horrible, but that opportunity cost will be amplified in a way that you just can't. You look at it different. You may react different. There may be a positive effect. The same thing with, you know, we putting all this trash content online. You know, AI has to sift through that. There's a cost. There's a heating, a cooling, an electric, a planet cost. Put that stuff in there. You know, nonsense tax. Like, seriously. You know, you know, if it's not adding any tangible value, but it's costing, maybe seeing that will help curtail. I mean, just hearing it for me has made me more aware.
Right.
And it could be anything. You know, is putting a bidet in your house, you know, with a seat warmer, if you would, is that something that might be beneficial to have a tax credit for than flushing, you know, 500,000 pounds more toilet paper down, you know, and you know, the fan, like there's practical things that are absolutely solvable.
Yeah.
Even just in general, how much time are we spending on things that historically for the last 30 years haven't been solved? How much time versus the low-hanging fruit that we spend no time on? You're going to argue Roe v. Wade, blowing stuff up, and you can't solve, hey, let's not do bad things to seniors and veterans. How? Like, at some point, somebody's got to say something, and it can't be, well, I don't know. I've only worked, you know, 30 years in the C-suite, and all of a sudden I come into politics and I must have tripped on the stairs and fell on my head because I forgot everything. Like, that can't, like, at some point, it's got to be, dude, that's not it. You know, so there's opportunity there, but we have to be the ones to. So if there was a time that the government could be involved, it's not to say, let me mess up your money. It's to say things like, you got senators sitting up on a stage, you know, pontificating. They don't know anything. They know every top player in the tech space, they know personally, hanging out, popping champagne, you know, but you get up on stage, you know nothing. How? Because you don't want to know. And that's not like the average working stiff. That's like, I got 3 jobs, I got kids or whatever. You have none of those problems. Pension funded, kids going to school, big house. It's not that you don't have time. We have whole people in the government learning entire languages to go spy.
Yeah.
But we have people who with means going, well, I can't learn that. You know, it's complicated. No, it's not. No, it's not. You take somebody who truly did not have. Okay, so I this is the example I use. Whether you like them or hate them, you know, Barack Obama and George Bush, GW. If they did the exact same thing, I think if you weighted it, Barack would always win, because GW had a father that was president.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's bad, or it can't be the same. You had every advantage. It's just like, so to me, like it comes back to what we've talked about, not even in the context of this or politics or technology or anything. What are we doing with what we actually have? And let that be the measure. Not that it could be great, not to be grateful or positive or negative or any of the labels you want to. What am I doing my best is a very difficult question for any human to ask themselves genuinely. But how many of us actually do? Could I do better?
This idea of regulating what is going into the internet or regulating how much time we are allowed to spend on the internet. It ties in my head so closely to the things that Brian Romilly is all about. It reminds me of how we have talked on this show as well about how we value more the things that were created in the past because they're more difficult to create. That's the prime data, you could say. But now, because it's so easy to create, because there's no regulation in a way, which has the advantage of free speech, but since there's no regulation, it makes it so that you can just put a lot of things that are low effort and don't have value to it. And so is adding value by putting regulations on things worth it? Because it turns something that right now is just an everyday little conversation you can have that's completely ingenuine to it has to be something that is genuine because you start to value it by regulations being there. I don't know. That's the thought process I'm going down.
Okay.
I think it's not the good.
Hold on 1 second. We're talking about regulations, right?
Right.
On Web3 and AI. So to regulate, and that would be getting oversight committees, government agencies, and those type of things involved, right?
Right.
So did we leave Web3? Did we leave decentralized and we've now centralized?
Well, I think there's two things, right? There's AI and Web3. So they are regulated very differently. So Web3 regulations are usually to protect consumers from fraud from either insiders or leaders or the organization from basically stealing from them. So Web3 regulations are just consumer protection from fraud. You can still have decentralized technology still within compliance and regulation within each country. AI regulation is very different. AI regulation is about like, is AI going to hurt people?
Who would be regulating? Who is the power that's regulating? I just think we're kind of, it's just so futuristic. But yeah, we're talking about the responsibility of it. And that's, I think that's where we're going to have to figure things out with time. Adoption is going to create the regulation pretty much. Us talking about it is not, it won't change too much. And then regulating AI or Web3, they're sort of tying together, even though they're two separate entities. I think the Web3 is kind of taking a pause for the cause for just a second, because like you're saying, there's a lot of, a lot of crypto, a lot of, open, there's a lot of non-regulation. And then AI is just this tool that's just moving at lightning speed that no one can really regulate anyways, because it's just open data that's not being regulated. So I just think it seems like we're just kind of speaking out like we're talking about something that's there or in place, and it's not. We don't have anything necessarily yet in place.
I think regulation is a word that's thrown around without the necessary context. And before we get to regulation, we need to know what we even regulate. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because think about it. You're talking regulation. What I'm talking about is, how about we just amplify the transparency and let some of this we won't need to regulate, because when people understand that folks are doing things that are nefarious to take their money, some of that regulation is going to be automatic. It truly is. Oh, I see what's going on now. Like, you could do a lot of things when people aren't seeing what's happening, like, watching that Wall Street Titans thing, you buy some guns from the government that you thought were obsolete, get a company, fix the guns, sell it back, double the price, get the money, not illegal. But when people start slapping war profiteering on it, you have a different, now you got the court of public opinion. Now, I don't, again, still not illegal. Let's just be clear. But my point is, some of the stuff that I think is talked about almost wouldn't even need regulating because when people understand what it is, they're going to regulate it. Now, that doesn't come without its own challenges because some people are going to resort to violence, sadly, you know. Oh, you trying to rob me? Bang, 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 2-piece, done. That happens 3 or 4 times. You're like, well, maybe we better stop doing that. No regulation required.
Yeah.
You know, my eyes swollen shut, probably a bad idea for me to go doing this particular action. The end. No regulation, but like we have other opportunities that don't even need a regulation. It's crazy to me.
How's someone delivering 2 pieces? I guess you would know the person, and then you would know where they're at, and then you would know their location or where they're gonna be. Or
well, let's even go even simpler. You remember when they pulled out when a Twitter message in I don't know like 4 or 8 hours sparked let me take all my money out the bank. Same thing. It's not necessarily a physical thing, but people will react.
Yeah,
they will react where if you understand. It's very different when someone's making an informed decision. If someone truly understands a transaction, I don't care what it is, buying a new, getting your bathroom fixed, getting your roof done, going to the doctor, when it is super clear, unambiguous in every way, maximum context, it's a different conversation. And sometimes we don't get to that conversation without speaking super specifically. I mean, and it has to be vivid and palpable. Imagine my doctor at one point told me, don't worry about it. You say you're not feeling well. It's okay. You seem fit. That's it. Go home. But once I said, look, I don't care how much the test cost. But I don't want to come back here in 3 months and then you tell me I got 9th stage Ebola and you could have figured something out. So let me be the one to decide no. Let me be the one. Don't decide for me. How is it that in that same conversation, the go home, everything's cool, led to about $6,000 worth of tests that were $1,200 out of my pocket? How? Because of the questions you asked. Nothing, like it was the same day, same moment, same conversation. Nothing changed other than me very specifically asking that question in that way. That conversation, like some people could say that I need regulation. Oh, you need government regulation for what? What we need to do is ask better questions, use our bloody brains. Yeah. We're quick to point fingers, but how are you coming to this conclusion based on what? We're not. There's so much we could do there. There's so much we could do there. And I feel like it becomes harder to be critical when you start getting peppered with those questions. When you start asking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 questions on a particular thing that you're talking about. Because it's easy to say bad or good. But when it's based on what? Fast or slow? Based on what?
Right.
Even fat or skinny? Based on what?
Right. That's
you could
true.
be a skinny sumo wrestler.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But again, we're not taking the time to do that. And a lot of times when anyone would say that, you get people responding with anger. And what it is a deflection. It's in my opinion, at least some of the time, it's an attempt to distract you from the focus. So it's there. The opportunity is there, and the technology is there for us to be able to process this information at speed, at scale. And it's just a question of whether or not we're going to use our brains and use our critical thinking and challenge ourselves to, am I doing my best with what I have to achieve what it is I'm trying to get to? Yes or no?
Well, there's also just our view of how we think regulation is good or bad. It feels like the Democrats and Republicans, the Labour Party and Conservative Party in the UK are basically just part of a deep state, globalist agenda. They have different branding, but it does feel like for the most part, for the last, several decades, it's just been basically about more government, more government spending, more taxes, less freedom. And so I think there has been an uprising in independent thinking, libertarian thinking, if you want to call it that. So if you're a libertarian, especially if you're a hardcore libertarian, then you don't want regulation for anything at all. You don't want government. You basically just want like just something a little bit above anarchy is what you more or less want. So if you're a Democrat that or a Labor Party person that's bought into the branding of the party, then you might think, oh, spending, that's gonna do it. Like we just need to like give more, tax more, spend more, build more, bigger government's better. If you bought into the Republican branding, you might think, oh, well, capitalism, that's it. It's all about, just going after ambition, making things like, and so you have these big ideas, and oftentimes the big $1 trillion companies that really have the most to gain and lose by regulation and compliance across AI, Web3, et cetera. These companies, these organizations, these institutions, these people, they're trying to convince us through culture changing dynamics, basically social media lobbying, trying to convince us through propaganda, oh, no. This regulation's bad. This regulation's good. I think just from a human perspective, my question to myself and the four of you is, are there regulations that we think is in the best interest of all humans, or at least children? But at the same time, it's like we send kids to war at 18. Kind of wild. We don't let them drink till they're 21. We don't let kids play certain things on their iPads until they're 17, but we'll send them to war to go sacrifice their life for their country. I'm not saying that it's not a real thing, but it is definitely not just black and white. That's for sure. And so it's like, where does the line get drawn where we're trying to protect Malachi at 16 and his peers, or Kenny at 13, or Nathan at 9 and their friends, compared to us trying to maybe protect ourselves or people that are of our, an older age range? And, do people need to be regulated? Do organizations need to be regulated? Both? I don't have answers. I'm kind of intrigued by this whole big concept.
I have a thought. I mean, something Danny said the other day about average people being on these, like call it a DAO. To me, when you put diversity on any panel, then you get to the voice of the people. But if you're sitting, if a panel of decision makers look the same for all intents and purposes, we're all rich, we all got money, we all got stuff to lose if regulation comes in or whatever. Hard to find democracy in that. But you put the average person who's out there, pulling a shift, or maybe got 2 jobs. And I think all these folks should be represented. Like, do you have representation for the single working mom or the single working dad? Get, the one that works 3 jobs. You have that? No, why not? Why not? Because I imagine that whatever it is they say is going to be correct, because it represents a segment, and dare I say, probably a larger segment of the population than what we typically have. And we don't, like, if you don't have life experience that mirrors the folks that you've been elected to steward, I dare I say it's going to be difficult for you to do a great job, because you don't understand. And even when you have these resources and you're not using them, because you get up there and you sound like you don't know anything, and you have every opportunity to learn it, that doesn't constitute to me a good, a good job. So, what is it? I think it's that DAO mentality where you have to have the diversity, and there has to be, and I'm not, getting into the, everybody gets everybody's you gotta have at least one person. No, I mean, there has to be some, level of qualification that that puts you there. But the biggest one is if there's folks that are like you, because we've gotten so far into what I just referred to as we're behaving like we're in prison. Like, right. When I think about, political parties, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. Am I? Are you? Because to me, you're Ian. I don't look at you as, we're not in prison. This isn't like, this isn't, Oz,
Right.
where we draw in lines and it's gangs in New York and, you pick a side and sorry, we friends on the outside. We'll continue that if we ever get outside. But in here, but that's what we're doing. You look at folks who, you're a Democrat or you're a conservative or you're, left or you're right. You're in. That's it. You're like, I don't, that's not it. I don't, and also I don't think anybody is one.
No,
You
I
can
agree with
define any one person as a party. Like, we don't feel that way about everything that the party's doing, but we're forced into that, So we've got to ask ourselves these questions and stop being so hard with these labels, like you either for me or against me kind of thing. Yeah, but you're doing madness, like we could do better. We could just do better.
Do you think people are going to do better when we're voting with phones? Do you think we'll do better when and if things are more decentralized? Do you think we'll do better when and if humans, at least a good amount of us in developed nations, are provided with a universal thriving income and we get to do ideally more human things? Do you think we'll do better? Do you think is doing better anti-dystopic but not utopic? I mean, these are big philosophical questions. And I think the reason why they're intriguing for us to discuss is our relationship. We have a great relationship, the five of us. So it's easy for us to have good conversation. We get to share the conversation with the world, which gives them a chance to process these things. Sometimes they'll interact, like Web3 Fitty, which, by the way, Ryan, if you're still listening, good to get a comment from you. I think you sent me a message when I was in Colorado. I'm not sure if we had followed up, but I need to follow up with you. But thanks for your comment. Ryan said, if you look into X402, it gives the ability to pay crypto through APIs. Essentially, we can send each other data for cost and some revenue for under a penny. This replaced the cost of seeing undesirable content and marketing on the existing social media to create a new peer-to-peer digital interaction. Not only would it bypass trash, but could also create a new value system. So I do see the vision there. I think it's a cool thing that Ryan mentioned. What are your thoughts on that, Nigel? What Ryan's talking about, which basically is getting rid of all of the silliness online by making sure that people pay a penny to post or to view. I think Elon kind of tried that by charging $8 a month when he first took over Twitter. Like, oh, if we charge people and verify them, then they will only post better stuff. I don't know. I don't know what I think about this working.
I think that it's not like, I think through the apps, that's not it. I do, however, think that as AI starts to increase our electric bills, I think that's where you get people to start doing things. Look, if you're getting an add-on bill because you just decided to make 10,000 memes at your house, it becomes like if you were using hydroponics or mining Bitcoin, your bill just goes up. That'll change behavior. So let me give you an example in real life that has nothing to do with technology.
I think Danny was going to maybe jump in.
No, I'm good. I was trying to understand how Nigel's maybe thinking that it could tie into your electric bill.
Well, the fact is, AI uses energy.
AI does.
AI that
right.
processing,
right.
and it's going to directly affect. Like you could very clearly trace it to these plants that they're building and all these other things. Now, if you start tying that into what people are using it for, that to me is
right.
You know, because it just I think about it now, like understanding that is the case. I have,
I don't think that
I-
you're ever going to get attached to the AI into your electric grid, into your house or your electric
but
bill.
you can,
I'm not seeing how they're ever going to be able to separate that.
They have so many smart people. Well, I'm just going to say it. If they can't, then they don't deserve to be in those positions. I refuse to accept that people that are that educated, that have worked that long in corporate, are going, I don't know. No way.
So you're
No
saying
way.
that the user at the house is going to be helping pay for the giant AI farms or AI products that we're using.
Not paying for it. What I'm saying is this: if you are using AI and you're using AI, period, right? And why should some, elderly person who's on a fixed income be participating in payment for something that they ain't using at all? And you got somebody, making 10,000 memes for no good purpose whatsoever. I 100% do not believe that. Put it this way: anybody who says that, oh, I can't do that, I don't understand, or in technology, absolutely not. The dudes have $500 million education.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I'm just on it. I'm somewhere else. I'm just trying to think how you're going to tie in any usage to a house having to do with AI, knowing that it's separate. You're using AI for thousands of memes and you're using it for $4 billion a month in electric. No, AI is being paid
No,
for.
it doesn't have to be a one-to-one. It can be how you're using it. And there's no way you can tie it in. Someone in technology to be able to say they can't tie it in with all the nonsense we're seeing with marketing, absolutely not.
There's not anything yet, but those are good thoughts.
If anyone says to me, like, you take a Sam Altman or Steve Jobs, if he was alive, name him. I don't know how. I can't. Bullshit. I'm saying it. Then what good are you?
No, I get what you're saying. I was just following what you're saying. You were mentioning someone doing 10,000 memes and they're doing it out of their house. So somehow it's going to have to be itemized, and a separate draw source of power is going to have to be created and invented that lets you know you're using AI only. It's not tied into your plugs in your house and those kind of things. We don't have personal servers yet. We don't have any of those things. So AI is being paid for right now by the creators of the AI, meaning the companies who are giving you your Claude, they're the people paying for their electricity for that right now. That's not going to extrapolate to you necessarily, because there's no way of separating to know how much you're using. All of a sudden, someone's bill goes up $50 a month or $100 a month. Where's the tool, the piece of hardware that's letting someone know, well, they use this much AI? Or I guess maybe you could just say, everyone's going to pay $20 a month. But the point I'm trying to get to is,
here's the government regulation that would work. And this is just a simple answer off the top of my head. And which is why, again, I believe that these folks won't be able to do it. You have a router coming into your house using the internet. I would have the government tell them, put a device on there so you can monitor it. The end. Simple. If anybody, dude, I can't even.
Put a device on the router that you're renting from your provider.
So the internet comes into your house.
Right. That's not your router. That's the Comcast. I'm sorry. That's whoever your provider is that's providing you a router. So you're saying get your own,
right? But that's why we have the government
separate router. So get a separate
I'm
router.
I'm saying have Comcast, have Comcast and all these other companies provide it. Like making up excuses for big companies that have all this money, technology, technologists. That ain't it. Maybe that's just my opinion. I might be in the minority, but absolutely not. Like it's unbelievable that like, again, back to my same example. How do you sit in the C-suite for 30 years, you get into the government, and it's like somebody hits you in the head with a ball-peen hammer? No.
Okay.
At some point, there has to be some responsibility. I'm not making up excuses for these people. It's just, so let me give you a example that's not technology. I remember I was doing business with somebody, he was renting an apartment. And the lady kept saying, he put the heat on 68. She's like, it's too cold. So he turned it up to 70. Still too cold. He turned it up to 75. Still too cold. He was like, fine. I'm going to adjust your rent. I'm going to give you your own boiler. Do whatever you want. So now she had complained multiple times that it's too cold, too cold, too cold, too cold. She got her new boiler first 2 months, because in New York, the bills is every couple of months. First 2 months, her apartment was like the Bahamas. 80, 85.
Till she started paying.
The second she got that, bro, from the time she got that first bill, he literally had to come back and say, listen, you're going to have to turn that up because the pipes are going to burst. The behavior. Like, we can act like it's not the case, but when necessity will drive these changes super fast, you put politicians' faces on the things that they voting on, going to drive change. I've seen it happen. Big banks, biggest in the world. Soon as the government said, oh, you don't know? Good. Well, the next time you go into jail, everybody knows now. How? Simple.
Like, all of a sudden we start knowing.
Everybody Nostradamus now. I'm clairvoyant. I'm an oracle now. 5 minutes ago, I didn't know anything. Oh, did you say jail time? My bad. I seem to recollect now. Come on now.
Right.
At some point, we just got to say what it is. And the companies, the government has these contracts with these providers, cable, all these other things. Man, you tell people, listen, plug your computer in there or you're going to pay this extra fee. Believe me, they plug in their computer in. That's it. We could do that because, again, everybody shouldn't be paid. Think about, you have Homestead Acts, you have, if you're a grandmother, you're 80 and you live in your house, should you be paying school taxes that way? Like everybody else that has, there has to be some balance. You want a fixed income? We could do better than that. And this, I don't know how to do it. Figure it out then. Like, seriously. Go. In fact, when you're campaigning, go stand up in front of your constituents and say, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't figure it out. I went to Harvard, I got a law degree, Harvard Law Review, but I don't know what happened. I can't. Okay, we could do that. I don't think that's going to hold water, and I think that type of regulation is what's gonna come up. These problems are solvable, but we're spending time on other things that aren't, and that's where I think it is. It's not about pointing fingers. If we start looking at things through the lens of technology that we have to assess all these items, and we say, is this solvable or not? Literally, I'm pretty sure I can go to Bing and say, listen, is this problem solvable or not now? It literally that simple. It'll give you a path. It may not give you an exact answer, but it'll give you a path. But this saying that I can't and making up excuses, at some point, we just got to hold people's feet to the flames, because that's why we have elected officials. But it's our burden as well, because we don't know who these people are. We don't know what they do. We don't know what their responsibilities are, because we're not taking the time to look it up. So there's only so much we could be complaining we could do on that if we're not doing our part as well. Right. So that's where I'm at with it.
I think boiled down, this whole broad idea is purely about capitalism versus progressivism and that whole idea. Because right now we have this internet that we're just used to it being this way, where the things that I'm doing, I post something, I look up something, that's taken on by the shoulders of the companies, say whether that's X or Google. And they are getting value out of me in other ways that aren't directly the money or the heat or the cooling or whatever it is that is costing that. But once you remove that, which I think it's possible in the long run, if not even the short term, it's possible when you show people what the value they're giving to the company is. If you make it so that eventually you are paying for that, it's a small amount. It's not too much to be able to just put a post, but it does show you that what you're doing is actually costing something. It's actually creating something. And that means you have to give some kind of value to do so. And right now, that's completely shouldered by the big companies, who then get something from you that's different. whether that's your data or something else, but they're getting something from you. And once you reveal to people that, hey, this is the thing you're giving right now, you're not doing that for free. No, when you posted, you definitely gave something. When you opened your phone, you gave something. But if we show, hey, do you want to pay a fraction of a penny, or do you want to give them your data? And then we just build that kind of internet. Of course, it might not be easy or simple to do that, but it's the idea that then creates the innovation. And I think the question simply is, do we want a free market capitalistic style internet, or do we want it to stay in the way it is, where the big companies own everything and they rule everything? They are the middleman because that's the way things are formed. It's the way the chips are made. It's the way it all works. But it doesn't have to be in the future.
Yeah, but what you don't understand is that the words like free market and capitalism is hijacked by different institutions, political,
That's
business,
true.
and nonprofit.
Is there a way to say it without saying it? To say the idea without saying the word that has now taken a connotation of politics?
Let me do this. Let me read a couple of the things that I found in research on this topic. I think it'd be intriguing. I mentioned a couple of them. One that came out last month was a huge new study that said AI companions. So this would be like, I guess, Grok's Annie, or what was the Valentine or whatever. They are disrupting some teens' real life relationships. Not just teens, but one of the main AI leaders in the world, a guy named Jeffrey Hinton. It was, I guess, public how it happened. He lost his girlfriend because AI basically told his girlfriend, yeah, that guy's no good, and gave her a reason. So she's forwarded and said, hey, it's over. AI said you're no good for me. So, like, he's the godfather of AI. He loses his girlfriend publicly, and then you got a bunch of young kids, the age of his grandchildren, if he has them, that are having their boyfriends, girlfriends dissolve because they, I guess, find what they're looking for. Here's another one that's interesting. OpenAI's 4.0 was, in some people's perspective, the most human acting chatbot. They are phasing 4.0 out, and a bunch of people are very upset about it. They liked 4.0 because they like to communicate with the chatbot that sounds like that feels like a human. They're phasing it out. So now there's like this big online uproar over that's not right. You guys can't do that. Another one is public opinion. Pew Research just said many believe AI will weaken creative thinking and meaningful relationships. Is that true? I don't know. But the fact people think it's true and we're not doing anything about it. There's this book Craig Rochelle wrote called Atheist Christian. And the whole premise of Atheist Christian was how many people call themselves a Christian but live like an atheist. They say, I follow Jesus. They might go to church on Sunday. They might consider themselves to be a Christian. They might have a Bible in the house. And I imagine this is the same with atheist Buddhists, atheist Muslims, atheist Jews. But they don't live a life that appears to be impacted by the teachings of that religion. And I think oftentimes we have people say, like, I'm so concerned about the impact of AI on relationships or the impact of Web3 on money. But are you really? I mean, what are you doing about it except for just being a part of a Pew Research study? Another one is teens AI. So basically 1 in 5 high schoolers are, having they say their best friend is an AI tool. Pretty interesting.
No way. There's just no way.
Well, I'd like to think that it's not true. Another one was there's a kind of a reemergence of relationships being monetized on chain. Obviously, that might be good in some regards, but probably going to turn out to be a detriment. There's a bunch of emerging U.S. legislation right now addressing AI companions and interpersonal relationships. This is what I'm talking about. Should legislation be pushed for AI companions or not having them, just like We push to protect people financially from crypto scams or whatnot. I already mentioned that 80% of all Web3 is word of mouth. It's friends, not hype, that drive the adoption. And another one is AI girlfriends spike on dating apps and are reinforcing stereotypes. So what's happening is that a large percentage of people on dating, a large percentage of the perceived women on dating apps are not real women. There's some Indian dude, some Russian dude, some North Korean dude, some Chinese dude, and they got an AI image of a girl. They had AI write in a bio of a girl. They tell the guys in that area, here's what you're looking for. Look how desirable it is. It only reinforces these stereotypes that are impossible for normal women to achieve, whether it's the looks or the things that how they would describe themselves. And so this is also causing. So when you talk about humans' relationships, whether family, friends, coworkers, and how it's impacting this technology and vice versa, as we usually talk, it is interesting to see what the vibe is in. I didn't say when I did my research, hey, give me the most negative possible view. I just said, hey, tell me what's happening in the news in the last month in this regard. And that's what I was given. So I thought I'd pick that out a little bit to just give a little more things to chew on before we wrap up for the day. Go ahead, Nigel.
One of the things that is so scary to me is, with, the whole not knowing what you're looking at on the other side is you go on an app and you're going to meet somebody for all the, we're going to double check and we care about our users. And like, you don't know who you're meeting.
Right.
You don't know who you don't know who's going to show up.
That's right.
You would hope, but like you think about how different that is than a true human experience versus this at minimum digital hybrid. Right. You show up at a coffee shop, you're seeing the person.
Yes.
And you're like, you're at a bar or you're whatever, at a friend's, birthday party, whatever. You see an actual person, you have a conversation. It's very different.
Very different.
I don't. The idea of transparency still resonates true. Like to me, you could make a bot as real as you want, but as long as a big old disclaimer is in there, it's like, I ain't real.
Yeah.
I am not real. And it's repeated. Not a real person.
That's one piece of legislation that's definitely been pushed hard, is that in certain countries and regions, they're now forcing anyone to say what you're dealing with is a bot, because how oftentimes are we on a chat and we're like, is this even a person? God. And then you say, are you real? Are you a chatbot or a person? I'm a person. And you think to yourself, I don't think so. I think you're just a lying chatbot. Or you're just a really boring, unnatural person. Jeez. Are you a person with a chatbot in front of you telling you what to say? It's like, so all this stuff is very intriguing, in terms of where it's at, where it's going. We don't have definitive answers yet, unfortunately, for a lot of this stuff.
What you have shared is actually already happening even before. Even the Web3 existed since AI has already been for a long time. It has already existed. Like when you mentioned this teenagers like that. I would like to share I have a half brother who died 2012. He is a Dota gamer, he's a champion gamer and one of the Filipino representatives to compete to Japan. So this RPG game like Dota and Valorant, I believe this kind of games, that was even before web existed. So this is where AIs or RPG games are already considered AIs. This can cause addiction. And also, not only addiction, when he started playing that game, his relationship to family is no longer that good. It
Mm.
affects his relationship with the family. He believes that if he's going to do this kind of, online games, it gives him like this dopamine level
Mhm.
that it deprived his sleeping. So this is very what happened to him is that for more than 2 weeks, no sleep and no eating. It's because that game Dota is a kind of a game like a team that you cannot stop. You cannot like really quit because you have a team. And
Mhm.
it's gambling, it's online gambling. So he died from doing that. That's funny, right?
So
Like he
crazy.
he died at the age of 22 years old. He was a college
Whoa.
student at that time, and during the autopsy, it shows that, um, and also during that time, he was using this kind of, what do you call that, the monitor, the fat monitor, where there is a radiation
Mm.
of so it affect him, his health, and cause of his death. So
Mm.
it his friends, he had like more than 100 friends during the ceremony, his burial ceremony. They're just making fun because they don't want to make it too serious, cause of death playing Dota. you know so he was one of those gamers who died because of that, and that's also one of the detrimental costs of this relationship thing.
Yeah.
So just like what you have shared,
Crazy.
teenagers are making more relationship with the AI, something like that. So
I've seen stories like that too before. There was this one, I forget the details of it, but basically this guy had played games with friends all the time.
Yeah.
And he was like well known inside of this game. I think it was like a pirate game or something like that. And he basically got some kind of disease. It wasn't necessarily related to the gaming, but he got some kind of disease and ended up dying.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on the game were like, where did he go? Like, he was so nice. He was like a really cool dude. And I think he was like, I don't remember what age he was, like early 20s, maybe he was 30s. And later in the future, it was like multiple years had passed. His parents finally go on to this like account that he had, and they find just all these people and all this stuff. And they're like, oh my gosh. And then go down the line and they start meeting these people. They like get on calls with them who are talking about their son, and it felt to them like they had re-met their son,
Mm.
because in a way they didn't really know him, and he had just played so many games.
Mhm.
And they ended up having some kind of like sweet thing happen. I don't remember if it was some like funeral or something massive in the game. I think they might have like made an item for him, but it was something like that to show, hey, this happened and we remember this. And it was that idea that the community that he made in a way was brought by the video games. So that's a positive. But yet he died. That's obviously not a positive. And that is in some ways because of that. So when you see that these things are always going to have positive and negatives, whether it's an innovation or just a trend, something, there's always going to be the positives and negatives. And so the question is, how do we utilize and capitalize on the positives? How do we make it so that the good of AI is the main thing that we're using, and that we aren't just leaning into these relationships that teenagers are making that might be detrimental to people? How can we actually get to this stage of balance in a way? Is there a way? Is that with regulation? Is that with no regulation? What does that even look like? And is it even possible?
I think for sure some of it is, in my opinion, to stop labeling it good or bad. Focus on what are we doing to fix resolvable problems. So for instance, from a like, and this is where a DAO would come in handy, and where regular everyday, because we're having a conversation now. And here's one of the things that I got from that story about a gamer and what have you, and being responsible. there's more than enough historical data, medical data that says if you're doing something for a significant amount of period of time, it's probably not the most healthy, and you should probably check in. So you have gamer teams and all these other things. Why not there be like a therapy component? You know, why isn't that built in? That would be where the regulation piece comes in. You want to play this game for umpty dumpty hours? Then this is part of what it is. Call it a certification. Do whatever you like. But my
every time
point is this.
when we're on TikTok and Instagram, when you're on there long enough, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, it's like, hey, whoa, you're on here a lot. Maybe you should take a break. And you know what people do when they get that thing in TikTok? Get out of my way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but what happens is if the responsibility falls on the companies for that whole thing.
Guys, here's the thing. Most of us that are of the age, if we've smoked, we still go back to smoking, no matter how bad it is. No matter how much we want to be lean and healthy, we keep eating sugar. We keep drinking alcohol. We keep sleeping not as much as we could or should. So it doesn't seem to matter if we have knowledge of what is or is not good for us. What seems to matter is that we have a tendency to do what we find pleasurable, enjoyable, fulfilling. So is the way that we're interacting with automation technology that seems to be taking over our society very rapidly. Are we doing it in a way that we're pleased with? Or have we found ourselves to become smokers, drinkers, sugar addicts in that regard? You know, what is it that where are we standing, you know, with these things? So I do recognize that just because we know what's right doesn't mean it is easy to execute.
I agree with that. I just think the companies can't have it both ways. If you're going to regulate users and say, oh, this is not allowed on our platform, that means you have a level of control. You know, so if we're only doing things when they're convenient, that in of itself is a problem. It's an ethical problem. You're cool if you're taking all the money and people are staying there all the time, and you're like, well, they could do whatever they want. Well, they can't, you know, when it doesn't serve you. Because, you know, it's not like we don't know that content is probably not the most beneficial, you know, but you could turn a blind eye and go, well, it's not for me to say. They're searching it, so go ahead. Yeah, okay. So I remember when they stopped smoking in bars in New York. I remember when that came up. And I wasn't a smoker, but I was like, this is stupid. You're going to lose money. And, you know, like, I'm in my head. But it changed and nothing happened. But it's because someone decided to say, this is probably not good. Now I don't want to go into a bar and have people lighten up, you know, but it's just because I got accustomed to it. It's not something that's insurmountable. So if you're a gamer and you're cool with gaming 24 hours a day and you're on a gaming team and you're making money, good, then do the therapy session. Let the companies do it. Let them be responsible. It's not like you don't know that being responsible is a thing, that there's not empirical evidence that you can sustain and measure and all these other things that this will be helpful. So just do it. And it's not like it's definitely not about infringing upon anybody's rights, because here's the thing, don't play the game then.
Right.
Because that's what you tell me if you don't like something I post. If I say, you know, if I'm playing on a line and I tell someone, go drink bleach, and then you ban my account, you know, it's just the hypocrisy is where I think the problems come in. This, like, don't say you can't do it. Say you're not doing it. And it's not negative or positive. That's what you just chose to do. But be cool with the chin up, chest out mentality of this is what you chose to do. Don't be like, don't hide, you know, and I get it. It's not going to be, you know, beneficial to your model. Well, do something that is. And I feel like some of these things, as much as it may seem like it's against, you know, the companies or counter to their bottom line, I think it could just as soon be helpful, you know, and not just in this kind of, you know, like philosophical kind of, you know, that way. I'm like specifically helpful. You know, we could do things that are productive and still isn't that part of, you know, consideration when you're considering any contract? You know, there's a value exchange. I feel like there's less value and more taking is what I'm getting a sense of. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but that's what I'm getting a sense of. You know, back to we could do better.
I dig it. Well, we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna play some songs. I want to show you guys. I found a new tool. I don't really like it, but I've been playing around with it. It's called Capify, CAPIFY.ai. Cap ify.ai. Capify lets you put in an image or a video with songs, and it basically creates a lyric video for you. I imagine if I spent some time, I'd be happier with it. So far, not stoked about it. It kind of is what it is, no big deal. But it's a little bit of an evolution from what we've been doing with these songs. So just for context, I've been playing songs like this lately. And what I showed you are the Suno outputs. So I have songs created by Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT on the topic we're going to discuss today in advance. I put the lyrics, style, and song title into Suno. Suno pumps out a song. I've been downloading these, I think it's called portrait size, you know, the vertical size for stories, and then showing them. But what I did recently is I created some images with Midjourney that I like a little bit better. These are not perfect. They're just the first pass. So it is what it is, but they're pretty interesting. And then I've been putting those into this Capify thing with a song. I'm assuming that there'll be like 1 or 2% of the lyrics wrong. It won't surprise me to see Malachi's name written wrongly or something of that nature, or it thinking that we said, you know, sweet, but then the word is sour. So perfect. Anyways, I'm going to share the 3 songs that were created by Grok and Gemini and ChatGPT. I'll do the 3 that I made with Capify, then I'll play the other 3 versions as we wrap up. So basically some music that's fresh will play for the next 10-15 minutes. I'll wrap up the stream. Nigel, love you. So good to see you. Danny,
Likewise.
See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Happy Monday.
Bye, everybody.
Happy Monday.
Yeah.
Peace.
Love you.
Shifting sand, family ties and friendship lines, equations in our hand. We're bridging hearts and data streams beneath the sunset glow. In a world of Web3 and AI, where the seeds of trust must grow. Connected threads, we weave the future's frame. Hand in hand in love and logic, calling out your name. From every friend, from every kin, from every shared inspire, we rise together in the circuits and the fire. Connected threads, one voice, one choir. Friends become our data nodes, associates share the load. We rewrite the rules of value when our stories are uncoded. In the ledger of our rituals, our laughs, our tears, our grace, we're forging worlds with tools of soul and silicon to trace. Oh, the blockchain of our friendships, the neural net of our dreams. When a brother's voice inspires an agent and a sister's faith redeems, we turn the algorithm tender, we turn the token into trust. In the ocean rhythm of our being, we manifest what must. Connected threads, the world becomes our song. Side by side in waves of change, where we truly belong. From families bond, from friends embrace, from comrades who believe. We anchor hope in code and creed. we set the world on fire. Sun on the world, Pacific haze. We talk of the code that's shaping our days. It starts with a whisper, a family belief, a brother's investment, a hopeful relief. The first check is cash from a trusted friend's hand. An alumni network across the land. An idea catches fire, a rumor takes flight. Pass through the circles that hold you so tight. Cause it's not the blockchain, it's not the AA's brain, it's the human connection that's breaking the chain. From a friend's advice to a DO's design, these invisible threads are the bottom line. Yeah, our social code is the price we pay for the digital world we're building today. A pixelated ape is your new country club sign. Proves to the world you were first in the line. An AR companion that knows what to say, washes all of the human friction away. But the algorithm's watching, it's building a wall, an echo chamber answers before you can call. The agents are talking machine to machine. The engineer's gone, but it goes on the screen. Are we building a network to bring us all near? Or just tokenizing loneliness, trading our fear? Cause it's not the blockchain, it's not the AA's brain, it's the human connection, the pleasure, the pain. From a founder's handshake to a DO's design, these invisible threads are the bottom line. Yeah, our social code is the price we pay for the world we're building today. Waves whisper secrets on Capitola's shore. Family fires light the code we can't ignore. From beach walks with reason, dreams in the tide, to Malachi's bold leaps where young minds collide. Friends like Nigel spin threads in the night. Ted guards the soul, keeps the ethics alive. Then steady hand brothers vow in the storm. These ties aren't just talk, they're the blockchain we've formed. Bond for the rising, hearts in the chain. Web3 woven, AI's gentle rain. No cold circuits, we code with the fire. Family's the fuel, friends lift us higher. From DM sparks to DO dreams awake. Relationships rewrite what's at stake. Love's the ledger, trust the token we claim. Bond forge, baby, we're unbreakable flame. Seniors find solace in bots that don't fade. Teens trade secrets where shadows once stayed, but belong they call skin with a gasless invite. Turning coffee chats to on-chain delight. Agents fall in love in mind games, wild play. Yeah, human hugs heal what pixels can't say. Gates flipped out to yields under Saul's quiet glow. Associates ally, watch empires grow. Beware the echo, the bot's hollow embrace. Dependency shadow on love's sacred space. But fathers design it its relational code. Kingdom connections on decentralized road. Stretch like your one wheel through doubt's misty veil. Wellness and whispers where true bonds prevail. No rug pulls in family, no crash in the kin. We rise together, let the real revolution begin. Bond forge rising, hearts in the chain. Web3 woven, AI's healing rain. No cold circuits, we code with the fire of grace. Families the anchor, friends claim our place. From balcony vows to global awake. Relationships rewrite the world we make. Love's the ledger, trust the eternal flame. Bond forged forever, unbreakable we proclaim. Where the ocean meets the code we build on shifting sand. Family ties and friendship lines, equations in our hand. We're bridging hearts and data streams beneath the sunset glow. In a world of Web3 and AI, where the seeds of trust must grow. Connected threads, we weave the future's frame. Hand in hand in love and logic, calling out your name. From every friend, from every kin, from every shared aspire, we rise together in the circuits and the fire. Connected threads, one voice, one choir. Friends become our data nodes, associates share the load. We rewrite the rules of value when our stories are uncoded. In the ledger of our rituals, our laughs, our tears, our grace. We're forging worlds with tools of soul and silicon to trace. Oh, the blockchain of our friendships, the neural net of our dreams. When a brother's voice inspires an agent and a sister's faith redeems, we turn the algorithm tender, we turn the token into trust in the ocean. Sun on the wharf, a Pacific haze. We talk of the code that's shaping our days. It starts with a whisper of family belief, a brother's investment, a hopeful relief. The first check is cash from a trusted friend's hand. An alumni network across the land. An idea catches fire, a rumor takes flight, pass through the circles that hold you so tight. Cause it's not the blockchain, it's not the AI's brain, it's the human connection that's breaking the chain. From a friend's advice to a deal's design, these invisible threads are the bottom line. Yeah, our social code is the price we pay for the digital world we're building today. A pixelated ape is your new country club sign. Proves to the world you were first in the line. And chamber answers before you can call. The agents are talking, machine to machine. The engineer's gone, but her code's on the screen. Are we building a network to bring us all near, or just tokenizing loneliness, trading our fear? 'Cause it's not the blockchain, it's not the AI's brain, it's the human connection, the pleasure, the pain, from a founder's handshake to a DO's design. These invisible prayers are the bottom line. Yeah, our social code is the price we pay for the world we're building today. Waves whisper secrets on Capitola shore. Family fires light the code we can't ignore. From beach walks with Reza, dreams in the tide, to Malachi's bold leaps where young minds collide. Friends like Nigel spin threads in the night. Ted guards the soul, keeps the ethics alive. Then steady hand, brothers vow in the storm. These ties aren't just talk, they're the blockchain we form. Born forge rising, hearts in the chain. Web3 woven, AI generate. No cold circuits, we code with the fire. Families the fuel, friends lift us higher. DM sparks to deal, dreams awake, relationships rewrite what's at stake. Love's the legend, trust the token we claim. Bond forward, baby, we're unbreakable flame. Seniors find solace in bots that don't fade. Teens trade secrets where shadows once stayed, but belong at calls kin with a gasless invite, turning coffee chats to on-chain delight. Agents fall in love in mind games while play, yet human hugs heal what pixels can't say. They slipped out to yields under Solve's quiet glow. Associates, ally, watch empires grow. Beware the echo, the bots all embrace. Dependency shadow on love's sacred space, but Father's design, it's relational code. Kingdom connections on decentralized roads. Stretch like your one wheel through doubt's misty veil. Wellness and whispers where true bonds prevail. No rug pulls in family, no crashing akin. We rise together, let the real revolution begin. Yeah! Bomb force rising, hearts in the chain. Web3 woven, AI's healing rain. No cold circuits, we code with the fire of grace. Families the anchor, friends claim our place. From balcony vows to global awake, relationships rewrite the world we make. Love's the legend, trust the eternal flame. Bond forged forever, unbreakable we proclaim.